welcome to another episode of Jacob's House of Rock. My name is Jacob, and today I've got another little unboxing video for you guys. This morning, this floppy little package arrived in my letterbox, and there should be something extremely exciting in here. Something that is really difficult to get these days, so I'm actually really happy that it did show up. Unfortunately, by the looks of it, this package doesn't have almost any padding to it. It's got a little bit of bubble wrap. I can kind of feel a little bit of bubble wrap, but this thing is almost entirely just like really floppy and not really protecting anything, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully well, you guys know what it is. This bridge is all fine and intact. So we'll just take that off. Ooh, and there it is. Okay. It's real. It's here. I mean, I could feel it through the package, because this thing is freaking flimsy as hell packaging, but look at that. Wow. Okay. Oh, it's stuck in there. Come on. There we go. And, oh, they even taped it for some weird reason. Look at that. A Schaller 456 wraparound bridge, or fine-tuning bridge. It's got kind of a long name. Got tape on these little fine-tuners for some reason. We can take that off. Take this bit off as well. Oh, this looks like it's in brilliant condition too. Freaking hell. It's got these little things just flopping about all over the place. I guess that's what the tape was for. And these will probably... Whoa. That kind of flops about like that. So, some context. So this is again, a Schaller 456 fine-tuning wraparound bridge. This is discontinued, so these are extraordinarily difficult to actually find, especially in good condition, and they're really sought after by the Black Sabbath fandom, because these bridges are used on Tony Iommi's old boy guitars. So his guitars made by JayDee, I think he started using it around the Heaven and Hell album or a little bit after that. That guitar made by JayDee, which uses these sort of Schaller bridges. Yeah, these are really difficult to come across now because I'm not exactly sure how long ago, but I think it was at least 5 to 10 years ago these things were discontinued. So you can only really get old stock of these things, and the prices are super inflated. However, I am going to be using this for a very exciting project, which I will be sharing with you guys in some more detail in a video just dedicated to explaining that on its own. But in short, I'm going to be converting a Tony Iommi Epiphone signature guitar into as close as I can to a copy of the actual JayDee old boy guitar with original pickups and all. And that's why this kind of bridge is an absolute must-have. Like, even JayDee guitars can't source these things anymore. If you're trying to buy a guitar from JayDee, you actually have to buy this bridge on your own separately somewhere else. You have to source it. And I got really lucky because there was a seller on eBay who just happened to be selling one of these things at still a huge price. Like, this thing wasn't cheap. I should just give you guys a closer look at it while I talk. But yeah, and a very high price, but it was still about $100 cheaper than the next most expensive one. And since then I haven't actually seen one come anywhere close to being as cheap as this one. Also, this one is in excellent condition because it's like old stock. It's apparently like 20 to 30 years old. It's never been used. And you can see it's in excellent condition, and it's one of the chrome ones. So it's actually the right color for a Tony Iommi style guitar. Whereas most of the ones that you see these days showing up online for sale tend to be in really bad condition. Anywhere from being just totally scratched up and dinged up to being just like a complete mess. And they also tend to be the bronze, or not bronze, sort of like a gold variant of this. This one does have gold components, like the brass saddles there, which, again, look really nice. So the brass saddles, but the ones that you tend to see more of these days, the ones that are entirely gold, just because these chrome ones are really sought after. And again, look at it. It's just like finished mirror polish. Very, very fancy, very well done. So these are made in Germany by Schaller. Should say made in Germany, I think somewhere over there. Is that the right way up? Or I think that just says, yeah, that says Germany. So these are made in Germany by Schaller. Very, very nice. They do resemble from a distance a Floyd Rose type bridge. I think Schaller is also known for making Floyd Rose bridges, but this isn't a Floyd Rose bridge. It's not a tremolo. This is a type of bridge that you replace a normal wraparound bridge on a guitar, typically like, you know, a Gibson SG Special or something like that. Or again, specially custom-made guitars like the JayDee Old Boy style SGs and stuff like that. So here is your typical Tune-o-matic style bridge. This is actually the kind of bridge that I'm going to be having to replace on that Epiphone Tony Iommi signature model guitar. And the problem is, wraparound bridges aren't designed for the same spacing. They actually fit pretty much on point with the hardtail part here of the bridge, the actual stop tail bit, so they actually would fit here, but you actually need these saddles to rest much higher where this area is on the bridge, and these just simply don't fit. The scaling on these is too short for the actual mounts for this bridge to fit on there, and sorry, it's kind of, this bridge is so finicky, it keeps like flopping apart because it doesn't have that string tension in it to hold it in place, which is a bit of a shame. I wish this bit would hold together a little bit more consistently, but again, that's not going to be a problem when you actually have the strings on it, so don't worry about that. But yeah, this thing isn't really designed to replace one of these bridges. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to actually re-drill those holes when I do get that guitar. I'm going to move this one off to the side just for a second. It's actually a lovely, lovely Yamaha guitar that I've recently just got here. I'm going to do a video on this one real soon as well. But this guitar here is a much better example of the typical kind of bridge that you'd be replacing with this fine-tune Schaller bridge here. So this is your typical lightning bolt wraparound bridge. This is actually an Epiphone 2020 inspired by Gibson range SG Special with P90s. So it's a fantastic guitar. I've done a review and everything on this guitar beforehand, and it's a wonderful instrument, and it would actually be a great candidate if you guys had some of these bridges lying around to replace, because these wraparound bridges with the sort of fixed position, the intonation here, they work, but you're really limited. Like, I think at the very minimum you should be using something like this on a guitar like that. So this is actually just a no-name, unbranded version of a fine-tune wraparound bridge. I think this is based on like the Leo Kwan model from back in the day, but again, this is a really cheap unbranded one, and I'm actually going to replace this bridge onto this SG here. So that's what I'm going to use eventually. That's why I actually have it out. But you could definitely use this bridge on it, and I'm just going to show you this, just kind of like holding it in front of it just to show you how cool it looks. That looks just so badass. It's freaking awesome. I really can't wait till I actually do get that Epiphone Tony Iommi signature one to convert it, because it's going to look amazing with this thing. I am actually going to get the proper pickups and everything to get that Tony Iommi old boy guitar look and sound and feel from that guitar along with this bridge. So I got big plans for this one, definitely. It's going to be awesome. Really quickly, I just want to kind of explain how this fine-tune system on this bridge works. So the way you'd normally have it mounted is, of course, you'd have the mounting screws here. They're the only real contact this bridge will have with the rest of the guitar. You'll have these two little pillars on either side here and here. These screws are used just to adjust the whole bridge. So if you actually screw these in even deeper, they're actually going to start poking out of the top here in these little openings in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to be able to push the whole bridge back a little bit, just in case those mounting pillars are slightly too forward. So you can always move it a little bit back, the whole bridge, just with these screws. And of course, you got just the normal typical saddles here. These are lovely brass saddles, and you just have the adjustment screws at the front here, so you can move these back and forth to get the intonation correct. But what you can then do is you have these Floyd Rose style fine-tuning little screws at the back here, these little black screws. All of this is metal, by the way. I can just feel that these little black components down here, they feel like they're made of metal. You can even kind of hear it. And these screws also feel like they're made of metal, so it's, you know, well made in that regard. So no little plastic components, so it's all very nice and solid. So what these do is you typically, well, I say typically like it's just how it works, you put your strings in here. For example, you have these little slots in here, you'd pop the back of the string in here, it would pull through and go into the saddle and, you know, normally be strung up. And what that does is it pushes these little things down, well, up, if you would have the bridge not upside down. If I do that, they kind of just fall apart like this without the string tension. But what that would typically do is that pushes these upwards if you would normally have it, you know, with the string tension, and that pushes against these screws. So under them, these screws just kind of poke through under here. And the reason they do that is, if you have them just normally like this, like we're just going to mess with just this one here. So if you have it normally like this, and then you start screwing this one, you can see it's kind of turning that saddle a little bit, and it kind of moves it back. So it's a little bit tricky to do because these probably haven't been used in a long time, so it's a little bit tough to kind of show you. But if I just accentuate it by just doing that, you can see it would pull that string back and forward. So that's kind of the idea with all of these little screws here, is it just helps you get that intonation a little bit more accurate, a little bit more tight, and you can do that on the fly just if you're having any issues. So yeah, great tunability. Apparently these are really solid bridges and they work really well. It's a bit of a travesty that they are discontinued, because you can get Floyd Roses by the dozenful, and lots of companies make like third-party bootleg copies of Floyd Roses and all manner of different sorts of bridges. Again, like this one, which is a copy of the Leo Kwan type bridge, and I think I got it for like under 20 bucks. So probably made of a very cheap metal in China, but still, I have no doubts this thing will work just fine. Whereas this damn thing costs you a freaking arm and a leg. But if you really are after that sort of classic Tony Iommi SG look, you really need something like this if you're, you know, looking for that old boy SG look. So I'm glad I got this thing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are quite jealous that you didn't get your hands on this thing before I did, because again, it was expensive, but it was at least like $100 cheaper than the next cheapest option, which worked for me. So yeah, that's about it for this unboxing video, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't really test this bridge out for you and show you it in action, but I will in future videos when, again, I do get that Epiphone Tony Iommi signature guitar and I modify it quite heavily. That could take a number of months, and I still need to actually get the pickups to be made. I'm on a waiting list at JayDee Guitars to actually get those pickups. It could take a couple of months just for that. So it's going to be a while, but regardless, I thought I could end the video just kind of holding this above this SG just to give you guys kind of a cool little pseudo look at what this would look like on a guitar in action. Yeah, fantastic bridge by the looks of it. I'm really excited to see it in action as well. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. So I will see you in the next one. I'll definitely be doing a video going into a lot of depth about my guitar projects that I've got coming up, because I'm going to be modifying this really heavily, as well as modifying that other Epiphone Tony Iommi custom signature model guitar even more heavily. So I'm going to go into detail about what exactly I'm going to do to those guitars before I actually start that project. So stay tuned for that. I'm also probably going to be doing a lot more song reactions and that kind of stuff, because it's kind of been taking off, which has been pretty cool. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.